both Gary and Brent had previously communicated that they weren't going to be able to attend the meeting tonight. One for a lot of fun stuff, right? Somebody's heading for deer camp, the other one's out of the state for work. So previously scheduled. Item 4, additions to the agenda. We don't have any additions tonight, but what I am going to do, in the interest of time for some folks that are traveling in from Detroit for donation, we're going to swap E and A. Is that all right, Shannon? Okay. So donation will be A, and audit presentation will be E.
And I move that we accept the November 12th, 2012 agenda as adjusted. Support.
We have motion and support to accept the agenda as adjusted. I like that word. Further discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, the same. Motion carries 5-0, right? Item 6, approval of the special and executive session meeting from November 5th.
Move that we accept those minutes as presented.
Support.
We have a motion and support to accept the 2 sets of minutes from November 5th. Further discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries 5-0. Item 7, communications or expressions from the public. So, would like to invite anybody that would care to address the board to raise their hand, be recognized. I am going to precursor the meeting tonight. Can I just by a show of hands maybe see who's looking to address tonight? Okay. So just for the folks that maybe haven't been here before, right, I'm going to run through the ground rules that we always do at our communications or expressions. So because we do have multiple folks that would care to address the board, we are going to try to keep it to about 5 minutes or less per person. The board loves to see the communications or expressions from the public section of the meeting and feel that it's very important. Because this may be the first time that we're hearing a lot of this stuff from folks, don't expect the dialogue to go back and forth. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that and we talk about that. So, in the interest of note-taking and making sure we capture everything, I'm going to ask that when I recognize you, you come to the front, in front of the microphone, give us your name and some contact information, whether it be a phone number or an email, so that we can correspond back to folks accordingly for things that are actionable. So now let's go back to the hands. I see one right there. Annette.
Thank
Come on
you.
up.
You should have all received in the mail copies of the documentation that I sent to you requesting to be on the agenda. I was assumed that was included on the agenda, but since that mailing occurred, I have received more information which I have to provide to you. May I?
You bet. You betcha. We appreciate it.
Oh, my name is Annette Howe. I am a middle school teacher at Beaverton Middle School.
Thank you.
I'm here today involving a harassment claim that I filed. Unfortunately, it brings more light to our school on what's going on in that building. On April 18th, I incurred harassment from my principal, Jeff Budge. I requested a harassment investigation in April. Administration retaliated instead of conducting that evaluation, and I was suspended from work 2 days, no pay. Then they used the leverage on that to dismiss my harassment claim so that it would never reach the board. The terms of the agreement have been included to you, and I can go into that in further detail when if you choose to place me on the agenda.
Can I ask one question?
Yes,
So we all did receive a mailing.
Yes.
My understanding is maybe the whole board didn't receive the same information from you. Is that true or false?
I did include to Lori where I included all of the documentation that supports the inappropriate evaluation that I received, but those are two separate issues. The evaluation that was conducted horribly and failed to be reviewed by the superintendent, that went unanswered, other than it was just denied. Even though the documentation has been provided to Lori Ware, I don't have the means to copy the inch-thick supporting documents, and I'm sure she'll make that available.
Can I have that, Lori? I'll make it available.
Thank you.
Thank you, and, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the superintendent has the original. I have handwritten comments included on there. But just to add, I would like to be on the agenda for the next meeting so that you will have time to review. But just to add that federal law describes specific actions and procedures that must be followed when an employee complains. Administration did not follow those procedures, and my union acquiesced. I would like to read to you the portion of the law. It's Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 defining workplace harassment. This has also been supplied to all of you in your mailing.
So that's what we got right now.
Well, you have one of those pages,
Oh.
yes, that you got in the mail
Okay.
today. It's
Okay.
included, it looks like this.
Great.
It says, prevention is the best tool to eliminate harassment in the workplace. Employers are encouraged to take appropriate steps to prevent and correct unlawful harassment. They can do this by establishing an effective complaint or grievance process, taking immediate and appropriate action when an employee complains. I find this interesting. We're finally getting to this, and the appropriate action was I was written up 2 days with no pay, unconducted charges, and I never touched a cell phone or took any pictures or interfered with the investigation. It says that they need to take immediate action when an employee complains. An employee should feel free to raise concerns and are confident that those concerns will be addressed. The employer is automatically liable for harassment by a supervisor that results in a negative employment action such as loss of wages. 2 days I received with no pay. Within the union contract, it does state in, I believe it's Article 1, that the contract terms do encourage abiding by state law and federal law. This is federal law that should be protected. This is not the type of work environment that we need to encourage. And if this type of behavior is going on where it's harassing and manipulating the employees, you know for certain that that type of conduct is also occurring with parents as well. During parent-teacher conferences, I was contacted by several parents, and I can supply those names now, who never get responses from my administrator, even though they've been contacted several times. I suggested that they then directly go straight to the board if they don't get a response. There's some problems going on here, and there needs to be new direction. I'm disappointed, incredibly disappointed, with a man that I thought would do the right thing. I'm making this last plea to the board to correct the union and administration's incompetence before I exercise my right to request a federal investigation. May I ask to be included on the board at the next meeting?
Yeah, we definitely will, Annette, and again, to make sure that we have, we want every board member to have all the information, so I would ask that if you have further documentation that it come to me as the board president, please. I will make this packet available to all of the board members, and we will place you on the agenda. Please take note of that for the next meeting.
Thank you. And I would also like it to be an open meeting so that the public can hear the conduct that has been going on. I have nothing to hide. I did nothing wrong.
We will review the open meetings act relative to that, so we appreciate your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? I saw a bunch of hands.
Well, I would just want to add on the whole Emory issue that I am completely disgusted with the conduct that was allowed to go on and by the participation of members of the public and outstanding individuals that hit it. And very much ashamed, but it should not reflect poorly on our school. I teach there for 20 years. I went to school here. I graduated from here. I love this community. This is not what we are, and this is not what we represent. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw a hand back there. Ma'am, right there.
Hello, I am Amy Gashi, 993293868. Once I became a parent, my life changed drastically. My primary goal in life became keeping my child safe at all costs. And I am sure most of you as parents share in this sentiment, and we trust the school system to provide a safe haven for their children. The schools failed to keep children safe, not once, but many times over the last 20+ years. People kept quiet when they shouldn't have. Those in authority failed to follow procedures, and kids were negatively affected as a result. When did it become okay to compromise for our kids? When did money and legalities become more important than morals and children's safety? When did friendships outweigh breaking the law? And why are you accepting any of this? How is it that a student who disobeys policies faces an immediate suspension, but laws can be broken by authority figures, and they are given a letter to go to their file, or a complete lack of action occurs? What kind of example is this setting for our students? It seems that everyone is continuing to try to sweep this under the rug, which is completely unacceptable. If appropriate actions and punishments fail to occur, that leaves the door wide open for similar situations to occur in the future. A weak response by the board will only further establish the community's doubts in this school system. Harsher punishments may attract more attention than not doing anything, but that is what is needed for this school and the community to move forward. My child is only a toddler, but I am watching each decision and action, or lack thereof, to determine the best course of action for his future. At this point in time, I do not feel that the school can keep him safe.
There we go.
Yes, come on, you guys, hands up, right? This is all about you.
Okay, I'm here tonight to voice my concerns regarding the recent decisions the school board has made about the actions of the administrators named in the Emory case. Before I state what I feel, it would be more appropriate. Before I state what I feel, I would like to share some analogies and reasons for my opinion. My daughter was recently taunted verbally and physically by another student for 2 weeks, and finally had enough and reacted by punching the girl in the face. For her retaliation, she received a 4-day suspension. I'm not here to argue her punishment, because that is school policy. She knew the consequences of her actions before they occurred and chose to act anyway. I could spend the whole evening giving you examples of students who were disciplined for choices they made. One of my many points is that a teenager got 4 days off for lack of emotional control, yet you have Greg Paxton, Roy Johnston, and Jeff Fudge failing our students by not reporting years of inappropriate behavior to proper authorities. I stress they are mandated reporters, as is every other employee. And they're interfering in a police investigation involving a VHS teacher, and you fail to see the need for any disciplinary action. I don't understand how you can even justify that decision, but I would love to hear you defend it. When I give examples of an incident or things being said involving one of these administrators, Johnston included, I'm taking them from some part of the police report or the transcribed interviews. Let me start with Jeff Fudge. Page 43, document 83. 2 teachers report incidents to Jeff Fudge, and that resulted with a letter of reprimand in Emory's file that was removed after a year. Page 50, document 83. Joe reported Emory's inappropriate behavior to Fudge, and nothing was documented and no evidence of disciplinary action. Jeff Fudge implemented a policy that the teachers were required to stand outside their classrooms during class changes to monitor student behavior. Joe Haslocker told Jeff Fudge that he refused to comply with the policy because his classroom was next to Emory's, and Emory's inappropriate actions toward female students made Joe extremely uncomfortable. I would like to point out that Jeff Fudge is a mandated reporter also and didn't report any of this to the proper authorities, and nothing was documented in Emory's file for future use. And for failing to protect current and future students, Jeff Fudge gets rewarded with a letter of thanks and a pat on the back. Now for Greg Paxton, page 43, document 83. Referring to one of the teachers that reported things to Jeff Fudge, she was asked if she reported anything to Greg Paxton. And she said she never had and would never because Greg is Emily's best friend and it's been going on for so long it was pointless. Page 106 of the Emory Paxton transcribed interviews, Greg said that he talked to Emory several times about how inappropriate it was to allow 5 female students to take his name in Florida, yet nothing gets documented. Greg stated that he sees the addiction and that he knows Emory has an addiction to these young girls, and he mentions that there are 2 types of counseling, referring to financial and Emory's addiction. Page 35, document 83. In regards to firing Emory, Greg Paxton stated that he would have to take a teacher to tenure and it would cost $50,000 to $100,000. And that the lawyer did not think that there was enough there yet. If everything that occurred over the past 30 years would have been documented, this would have been a non-issue. Page 43, document 83. A 2000 graduate and her mom told Greg Paxton that Emory cuffed her right breast, and Greg did nothing. They then went to Bill Ashcroft, and Emory denied everything. Nothing was done, and again, the proper authorities weren't notified. And we have a liaison officer in the school at this time. Page 44, document 83. A 2001 graduate had several incidents occur and didn't report it. Why? Because so many other girls had complained and nothing was done. Page 45, document 83, the police FOIA'd Emory's personnel file and didn't find the Michigan State Police report from 2010. When Greg was questioned about it, he said he didn't feel it was appropriate to put it in the personnel file, and he wasn't sure if he was supposed to, so he was checking on it. For 2 years. It's not about what Greg Paxton feels appropriate, because there's too much evidence that confirms that Greg Paxton has poor judgment of appropriate behavior. Page 52, document 83. Greg Paxton stated when he came to Beaverton, he wasn't really in the loop of who people were. Boy, how that has changed. Who people are or aren't shouldn't matter when it comes to being a mandated reporter. You should report questionable behavior to the proper authorities and let them do their job. Greg Paxton stated that it was better to have a group of teachers standing near Emory. Why are we going to so much trouble to babysit a predator instead of removing him? Page 53, document 83. Greg stated that if you look at it, he's a friend, then a principal. No, he's supposed to be there to provide a safe environment in which our children receive their education. Greg stated he knew that Emory bought swimsuits for female students, but he didn't report it or document it. Why is that? Page 35, document 83. Greg stated that he told them, referring to Roy and Scott, that if there's anything involving students, then he has to report it. Why would they even entertain that comment when Greg hasn't followed through in the past? Page 45, document 83. A 1986 incident, Emory rubbed the thigh of a student cadet. Parent reported it to Sam Bagneski, who did nothing, but justified Emory's actions. The student was removed from the classroom when it should have been Emory removed from the school. Moving on to Roy Johnston. Page 33, document 83. Referring to the contents of Emory's texting, Roy stated that he did not know if it was illegal or anything, but that it was inappropriate. Again, these are mandated reporters, not reporting or even documenting anything. In Roy's transcribed interview, page 6, he admits they assumed the investigation involved something inappropriate on cell phones. 2 years ago, coincidentally, 2 years ago was the state police investigation, Roy takes Emory to a bankruptcy attorney and he can't file because he makes too much money. They got the name of another counselor, a lady. She gives him some things to do and some options, and then the name of a debt consolidation company. Page 7, he talks about Scott and him thinking he's an addict, Emory's an addict to young girls. Page 8, Roy stated that Scott Govitz told Emory that he would pay off the cell phone bills if Emory would shut off the phone service and get rid of the phones. Why do you think that is? Do you think Scott would just do that out of the goodness of his heart, or do you think there's a possibility that he's trying to hide something? Page 15, referring to Emory texting female students, Roy states, I don't know if they're inappropriate. They're sure ill-advised as far as I'm concerned. Page 16, Roy states, well, I don't know if it's wrong or if it's illegal or anything. I think it's inappropriate. When Roy was asked by the investigator why he didn't report it, and he responded, I don't know. 35 plus years in education, and that's the best excuse he can come up with. I can tell you it's because he was too busy protecting his friend while failing our children. Page 16, approximately halfway down, Roy mentions getting Emory a counselor, a Dr. Petrie out of Mount Pleasant, which happens to be a sex addiction counselor. Joe Paslock told the investigator that Greg Paxton and Roy Johnston had had several closed-door meetings with Jim Emery regarding inappropriate behavior, which Greg wouldn't allow Joe to participate in, but Greg and Roy deny those meetings took place. Are you going to take the word of Joe, who has continuously looked out for the well-being of the students and the only one with character and integrity to do what's right? Or are you going to call Joe a liar and believe Greg and Roy? I'll put my money on Joe hands down. From just the amount of information that I extracted from 702 pages of a police report, I just can't even imagine how anyone can justify continuing to employ Jeff Fudge, Roy Johnson, or Greg Dixon. There was a female student mentioned in the report that had to do her math homework in the office because she was too uncomfortable to attend Emery's class. It's my understanding your dad was on the school board then and still is. Why wasn't anything documented or investigated? I know several of you have children or grandchildren in this school. Why would you want leaders with character and integrity as role models for them? I would appreciate it if each one of you sitting there asked yourself what you would want done if it was your daughter whose breast was cut and Greg Paxton didn't report it to the proper authorities. We teach our children they have to face the consequences of their actions and be held accountable for their poor choices. The very people who discipline our children for those poor choices are not being held accountable for their failing to protect our children. We also tell our children, don't hang out with so-and-so because they're a bad influence and it's guilt by association. So for those of you who say, well, he's my friend, I say, choose better friends because it's guilt by association. A quote from Alexander Solzhenitsyn is appropriate here. In keeping silent about evil and burying it so deep within us that no sign of it appears on the surface, we are implanting it and it will rise up 1,000-fold in the future. When we neither punish nor reproach evildoers, we are ripping foundations of justice from beneath new generations. End of quote. There's a lot of speculation as to why the school board is continuing to retain these administrators instead of firing them. One of those reasons being thrown around is that they are afraid of a lawsuit. Well, I say, fire them and take your chances in court. If you need to, get a different attorney. For the sake of current and future students of BRS, I ask the board to listen to a quote from Lord Miller. If we believe a thing to be bad, and if we have a right to prevent it, it is our duty to try to prevent it and damn the consequences. In closing, I would like to thank Denny King for publicly apologizing and several others who have privately apologized that this wasn't taken care of in the past when they were on the board. They all said that they had no knowledge of any inappropriate behavior, and if they were informed, they would have done something then, and we wouldn't have this problem today. So I ask all 7 of you sitting here, only 5, on this school board tonight, armed with the knowledge of more than enough information regarding inappropriate behavior, what excuse will you give for not taking a stand to protect our children and the future of BRS? I implore the board to reconsider their decisions for the future of our children, our school, and our community.
Kelly Balzer, just because you forgot to do it at the beginning.
I'm not putting my number out yet because people got it off that video.
Yeah, we didn't put the video out there, so. Who's next? Mr. King.
Dennis King, if you want my phone number, it's 4 weeks ago. Okay, check the tape. Because I was here 4 weeks ago and I spoke to the board and I apologize to the community. But I feel I'm here again tonight because I feel the board must not have their hearing aids or they're just hard of hearing. Okay? Kelly, you did a fantastic job. You wiped my speech right out. Okay? But I'm going to touch on a few things. I don't know if any of you on the board looked at the papers lately, but CMU had a problem over there on child pornography.
Yeah.
The people that came upon it didn't grab their computer, run down to the bar in Clare, and sat down with their buddies and figured out, what are we going to do with this? He's in financial problems. Great place to make decisions for you. Also, I sat on the board for 7.5 years. That's probably about 13 years ago. Your board lawyer is the same lawyer that was there when I was there. As serious as this problem we have, I can't believe you have the same lawyer. You didn't get a second opinion from another lawyer? That lawyer, when I dealt with him, acted the same way. Whatever the superintendent told him, because the superintendent signed the check. You, the board member, he's your lawyer. You don't sign the check, but you should have a second opinion. Because I checked with a couple of the lawyers, and they're not impressed. Let's see. Leave, administrative leave. Most schools around here, when there is a problem like this, immediately put people on administrative leave. Okay? I don't think anybody's missed a day of work yet.
I did.
Except for that.
I did.
You're not an administrator.
Right.
I filed it.
I apologize, but I need to keep the dialogue up here.
I appreciate the comment.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Got two more things. Which side do we put? Oh, okay. Mr. Woodruff, I understand, approached the board, left a petition with signatures on it, begging for the mercy of the people in the police report. And you caved into it, I guess. Well, I'm asking you, how many signatures do you need? Because I'm speaking from the community. These are questions that was asked me in the community, and I told them I'd bring them up. The community's asking me, how many signatures do they need? So Roy Johnson's not coaching basketball anymore there, because we don't want him. I don't think they do either. And the last one I'm going to leave this board with you, I think it was approximately 2 years ago, this was brought up by 3 different people that came to me in the last 2 weeks. The board should know something, should check into some type of hazing incident on the football team. I'm sure if you check with the AD and the principal, you might be able to find some information. Have a good night.
Next.
Samantha Ord. My number is 99-948-5673. I wrote a letter to everybody, but I'm not sure how many have seen it on the board, so I decided I would read it tonight. As you can probably imagine, there are several of us from the community that are disappointed with the decisions the board has reached regarding those involved in the Emery case. I have been a lifelong member of the Beaverton community. I have always felt proud to call Beaverton my home. My husband and I chose to stay in Beaverton to raise our family, although we both work in Midland. However, because of our faith in the Beaverton community and Beaverton schools, we chose to continue to make Beaverton our lifelong home. I admit that I did not sign up for the school board job and therefore can't easily put myself in the position any of you are facing today. So please understand while reading my plea that I do not think that I could have done the job any better than you have. I just want to express my personal concerns for our school system and our community in hopes that my sharing can only help make your decision-making easier. When I was in high school, I was one of the students that Mr. Emery may have shown special attention to. I got candy, donuts, we even took his band for homecoming. At that time, I did not think it was inappropriate. I was a teenager who went with her friends to a teacher's classroom for some candy every now and then. It felt harmless. Even his shoulder rubs were never more than what Mr. Paxton would do while I sat in the office in the middle school as an office cadet. Because accusations of Mr. Emery being inappropriate were apparently made and looked over for years, I do not believe now is the time to dwell on that fact. What has been uncovered now is what requires action. Those that held or do still hold respectable positions in the Beaverton school districts need to be held accountable for their actions. Emery will be served justice in court where he belongs. However, for those still serving the Beaverton schools in some way, those are the ones that we must punish. What happens when a student misbehaves in class or being late too many times when we can't even punish the adults involved with these senseless acts? Giving our children an education is a top priority of the school. While I believe that parents should be the ones to help mold a child, the school in which they're part of also plays a very large part in that. How can we look parents in the eyes and ask them to trust that their students will learn valuable lessons in the Beaverton School District when we can't even show the same commitment to those students in the community? I am not aware of all the board's rules and regulations, so I'm not sure it's fair to ask you to reconsider the terms of what you've decided. But if it's a possibility, I would ask for the following. I personally would like to see harsher punishment given to Mr. Bassage. I wholeheartedly believe his actions were not meant to be harmful in any way, which is unfortunately what they ended up being. A formal letter on his file is not enough to show this community that we do not tolerate what has happened. While the investigation continues, I would also ask that you place Mr. Paxton on administrative leave. Also take whatever actions are necessary to pull Mr. Johnson from the basketball coaching position, as well as his name from the gym. I have been a very proud member of the Beaverton community my whole life. I'm emotional about this one. I would be proud to watch my child one day walk across the same stage I did to earn his diploma. Please consider those of us who still believe in this community when you're deciding on how to take action on all that has unfolded in the past few months. We as a community need to pull together through these hard times and regain the trust in the district and education system. We cannot do this without you making these tough decisions. Please consider all of us while doing so. Put friendships, past experience, and pressure aside. We cannot brush this under the rug. It will not go away. Thank you.
Next. Do we have any more? There.
My name is Don Hannon, 989-435-2502. I know you all pretty much. I've served on the board here in Beaverton for 16 years prior. I was also a board member when Mr. Paxton was hired. I apologize, and I'm going to say it, I do apologize to the community. I thought Mr. Paxton at the time was going to be an excellent administrator. At this point in time, I understand the hard part it is for you to make this decision. I don't know what your decision is, but I feel that Mr. Paxton can make that decision a lot easier for you if he would resign. Greg, I feel that you know where I'm coming from, that this is not normal procedures for an administration to have. I've been on the boards, I know how they operate, and I know it's hard to make that decision, but I do feel that Mr. Paxton should resign and solve this issue right away. Then you can deal with whatever's left to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Next, anybody? Don.
I do, but it's not again about the memory. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll figure something other than that. Are you limping?
Good evening. My name is Kathy Kipner, 535 East Howard Road. I have been employed for Beaverton Rural Schools for 28 years in the instrumental and local music department, and I love my job. I just had surgery on October 31st, and I was proud to walk out of the hospital without a wheelchair. Hopefully my knee will get better. I would like to thank John Hawkins for being able to sub for me while I was out on leave. I am returning tomorrow under the promise that I sit more often than I stand. So I will ask my students to help me with that because I have a hard time sitting. A few things that the music department has done and upcoming events. I have a list of 13 items that I'll leave with you. But I just want to share Homecoming 2012. We had a wonderful homecoming. The activities in the high school, the students, everything about homecoming was so special. And I invited former band students to come back and perform with us and march in the parade. And it was just so nice to reconnect. And I'm hoping that every year this gets bigger and better. And it's not just homecoming for the kids here at school, but it's about coming home to Beaverton for that special time. So for all of you who did come and play, thank you. And for all of those who didn't, I'll find you. Number 2, we went to Michigan State on October 27th to the Spartan Spectacular. Never been there, never saw their bands. It was amazing. My high school band just loved everything about it. We saw a symphonic band, jazz ensemble, percussion instructor, and the marching band with color guard and twirlers. Awesome show. We have had our Little Caesars pizza sale and a bake sale at Frucci's. The students are doing very well with that. This Friday and Saturday, the Beaverton community has a shop locally thing for hunting season. We will have volunteer musicians in front of City Hall at 1 and 3 to play Christmas carols. And then on December 1st, we are hosting MSBOA District 9 Junior High Solo Ensemble. We will have probably 500 musicians performing from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. My next Music Booster meeting is December 4th at 6:30 in the high school band room. And we have an awesome board this year. We had a lot of volunteers come through. And these meetings are open to the public. You don't have to have a student in band or choir to be part of our group. I welcome anyone who would like to help. My door is always open, so thank you in advance for that. The Farwell Music Department is proudly to present Stephen Mead, Euphonium Extraordinaire, on December 5th. At the Jamie Performing Arts Center. Admission is $1 per person. I'll be taking some students for that. He will also perform with the Farwell High School Band, and I get to play with them at that evening. And the next day, they're going to have a clinic for all brass players in the entire area. So the kids can go to Farwell High School on the 6th and get some private lessons from Mr. Mead. He's from England. It's going to be cool. Our Beaverton tree lighting ceremony is set for December 7th. I double-checked that date at 6 o'clock at Ross Lake Park, and the band will perform again. We have the U of L Marching Band concert at Chrysler Arena on December 9th. I am sending Kendra Hallett, Kayla Overlier, and Val Steele, senior band members, to represent BHS. They will rehearse and perform with the band on December 9th, and we'll take about 100 students to watch that performance on Sunday. The Gateway Community Band in Clare is having their Christmas concert on Saturday, December 15th, which I am a member of. It will be held at the Clare High School at 7:30. The concert is open to the public and free of charge. They do graciously accept donations. The East Shore Wind Symphony is holding a concert that same weekend in Standish on the 16th at 3. It's an afternoon of Christmas music, and they will feature honor band kids comprised of all the area schools. And we have 10 of our BHS seniors and juniors who have been invited to participate in that. And then finally, the Beaverton Music Department will host their winter concert on Monday, December 17th at 6:30 p.m. in the high school gym. This will feature our 7th grade beginning band, 8th grade band, middle school and high school choir, and our high school band. Admission is free, and donations, again, are graciously accepted at the door. Thank you. What's that?
We're glad you're getting around so.
Don't ask me to march.
Cindy Jeffries, State and Federal Programs Director. I will leave a report on the state and federal programs for the district, but I did want to let you know that on October 25th, we did hold our annual parent meeting. We didn't have quite as many as in this room, but we did have 24 family members who attended, representing kindergarten through 8th grade students. We held it at the middle school library and did it a little bit differently, a little more casual. It was a round robin table discussion, and I got a lot of positive feedback. Parents that attended felt like they were able to give a lot of good ideas and good get good feedback from that. I also wanted to let the board know that we had our first cookies, coffee, and curriculum night. Our literacy coach, Missy Woods, is attempting every other month to have an opportunity for parents to stop in and take a look at new curriculum initiatives that are going on in the district. And we had one parent come, but we're hoping it grows from there. This one was on the new writing program, K-5, and the parent that did attend told us that it was so worthwhile. She's going to go out and shake the bushes and get some friends to come because she learned a lot about the new writing program that we're doing. So we're hoping that that grows from there and possibly looking at even doing some in the computer lab and showing some of the online curriculum stuff that's available. I also wanted to let the board know that the grade levels are meeting on pacing guide work. I just spent the day with 4th grade. We've already had 2nd grade in, 1st grade in, and kindergarten starts tomorrow. So we're working extremely hard, and I just want to let the board know that and to give a kudos to the teachers who are really doing some amazing things this year. Thank you.
I missed the special meeting you had over the weekend. When did you post the special meeting? You comprised the statement you just made. You said, over the weekend. That's violation of the Open Meetings Act. Did the board sit down and came up with this? That's what you said. We as a board met during the weekend.
Nobody met.
Violation of the Open Meetings Act.
I am going to clarify one thing, Denny. The board did not sit down and meet to put together our statement.
Oh.
We drafted it up and invited comments. So thanks a lot. We appreciate that. Kelly, you want one of these?
Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome.
Okay. 7:53, we're going to move into our actual agenda. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate the comments.